How do? Welcome back. Just having a Polish beer. Don't know how you pronounce it. Lezajsk, I think it's called. I went to the Polish store again today. Well, it's not actually Polish. It's more like Central European. It's run by some Poles, but they've got food stuff from all over Central Europe. This is Lezajsk, I think it's called. There's the tin. I'll show you the tin. And it's a lager beer. It doesn't actually say on the can though how strong it is, but it's not very strong. Probably about 4%, I would think. Very light sort of continental lager. So I thought I'd have this and have a chat to you. Let's have a smell. Yeah, I do like these Polish beers. They have a very unique smell, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the hops or the water, but they do have a very unique smell. I think there is, I forgot the name of them now, but I think there is 2 hops that are native to Poland and pretty much only actually used in Poland. So I wonder if it's the hops. But you get this very earthy aroma that's common to Polish beers, and a nice sweet malt. Now, colour wise, it looks very golden. So it's not like your Heinekens and your Carlsbergs that are very, very pale straw colour. This is really golden, with a soft carbonation just slowly making its way up the glass. I'm going to have a taste. Cheers, everyone. It's got that sort of continental European taste. The malt's very nice, it's sweet. They're still there at the back, just to balance the bitterness, and there is quite a bitterness to this beer as well. But it's not the macro continental beers like the ones I've just mentioned, because it's much more maltier, and that's probably reflected in the colour. They've got the nice golden colour. And then after the malt, you've got this really nice sweet malt, and then you get into this really nice dry bitterness at the back end. It is quite a dry. I know it sounds daft because it's a dry beer, but you still got a nice sweet taste in your mouth after you swallow. And yeah, it's got that Polish taste. I don't know if it's the water. There's a little bit of sulphuriness in the beer as well. I like that. I do. I do like these Polish beers. And this shop I go to about once every 2 weeks, they have a huge range. Beers like these that you just don't see on the supermarket shelves. Obviously they import them because there's no English on this at all. It's obviously brewed for the Polish market, and they just import them. Maybe they import them themselves. Doesn't even have an importer written on the side there. So yeah, they've got this huge range of beers that you just don't find in the supermarkets. You've got your Tisk and things like that in the supermarkets, but you won't see a Lezajsk in the supermarket. So it's nice just to visit there and sample different beers. But that's a nice lager, nice and dry, nice bitterness at the back end, earthy hop. Yeah, I'd have one of these over a Heineken or Carlsberg any day, even though it does have that macro lager characteristic. I'd have this over a Heineken or a Carlsberg any day. Oh, that's a really nice pint. Right, so it's only going to be a quick video. I've actually started writing my book. Yesterday I wrote the introduction. Today I'm writing the second chapter, which is about the equipment that you need. So this is a book for beginners, and it's about extract brewing. So it's basically to try and promote dry malt extract brewing or liquid malt extract brewing. And so yesterday I wrote the introduction. Now usually, because I've written a book before, but it was like 20 years ago, you write the introduction last, because you then understand the structure of the book. Well, I only had a very vague idea about how the book was going to be laid out. So I thought, well, if I write the introduction first, it will focus my mind and I'll have a plan then that I can follow. So that's what I did yesterday. I wrote the introduction. And now I do have that plan. I've got it laid out. I know what I'm going to say, order of things. And basically what I'm going to do is take someone through a brew day. And at each stage, talk about the ingredients that you use at that stage. So for example, when you're adding the dry malt extract to the water, I'll talk about malts, I will talk about how dry malt extract is made, and then when you move on to say adding hops, that will be another chapter, and I'll talk about hops and isomerization and what alpha acids are, etc., and beta acids. So that's what I'm going to basically do. Just take someone through a brew day, and at each stage talk in depth about the ingredients and what you're actually doing and why you're doing it. So I'm actually now on to the needed equipment, and I'll probably write this chapter today and tomorrow. And then, of course, I've still got to come up with some recipes. But I did say in the introduction that one of the things I was going to do is that the brew that's going to be made over this brew day is just going to be a nice simple beer, but it's going to involve all the techniques that you need to challenge the more or to tackle the more challenging beers at the back of the book. So I'm going to have about 6-12 recipes, different beer styles. So yeah, I've got to come up now with a simple beer that's easy to brew for a very first timer. I want it to include specialty grains, because that's one of the techniques that you need to learn. So that's what I'm going to be on with as well, is just trying to figure out, well, I suppose a pale ale, or pale ales can be actually tricky. Maybe something like a bitter, an English bitter, or an IPA. Like an American style IPA, that would be good, because of course if it's the very first beer, hops can cover a lot of sins, shall we say. But then again, hoppy IPAs aren't to everyone's taste, so it has to be a beer that is to everyone's taste, or 90% of people, and is easy to brew. So if you've got any ideas, put them in the bucket below in the comment section, and yeah, and then I can start writing the brew day. So that's what I'm on with there. Another thing only came today about 5 minutes ago, but just before I turned the camera on, I could see that the postman came. I've got a book. It's written by Martin Cornell, who's a beer historian and writer, and he won actually the Beer Writer of the Year in 2003. This is a 2004 edition of his 2003 book, and it's basically the history of beer, but specifically British beer, and it's just called Beer: The Story of the Pint, the history of Britain's most popular drink. And it just says here that this is a magnificent contribution to the history of beer and should be on every aficionado's bookshelf. And that's Roger Protz, editor of the Good Beer Guide. So I'm going to enjoy reading that, because I'm interested in the history of beer as well. I'm interested in what beer used to taste like, because today all we know is macro produced beers, you know, beautifully clear, crystal clear. What were beers like, you know, 200 years ago, 300 years ago? That'll be interesting. So I'm going to be reading this. Nice bedtime reading for me. Oh, and just finally, because I'm going to be off to the football in about half an hour. I've set up a Facebook group called Mr. Scotch Pie, and you may have noticed that my little avatar has changed, and my banner on the YouTube channel's page has changed. It's now Mr. Scotch Pie, and then it's homebrew, beer and charcuterie. And I do want to do some more charcuterie videos as well. Let me tell you, when you start making your own salami and your own hams, you'll never buy commercial stuff again. It's a bit like beer and homebrew. So I've set up a Facebook group, and you're all invited to join. It's a private group. You've only got to answer 2 questions. What is your favourite type of style of beer, and one other. So I thought it'd be a nice place that we can hang out and post pictures of our beers we're drinking, whether it's commercial or homebrew. Talk about homebrew recipes, share recipes, things like this. There's nothing on there at the moment because I want to just set it up. So it's just a blank page, and I didn't want to put up my videos. I put them up on BrewTube UK, another Facebook group. Oh no, it's just called BrewTube, I think. Yeah, there's another one called Homebrew UK. Sometimes I put them up there as well, but mostly on the BrewTube Facebook group. So I don't really want to put my videos on my own group's page, but you're more than welcome to join. And we can have a little community and start talking about beer and share recipes and things like that. I'll put a link to the Facebook group down below if you're interested. But I'm just going to drink this. I might actually do I do a bit more writing, or do I start reading this book? That's the decision to make. Anyway, thanks for watching. It's been a pleasure, and I'll see you again in the next video. Bye bye for now.